It's about time I took you through the exciting world of sport business again. Jide Olaniro is my name, and I have come to serve you the best of sport business. That is news emanating from the sport business fronts in Nigeria as well as Africa. Jide Olaniro is my name again. Thanks for joining me and always keeping faith with me on the show where we'll break down the business of sports. On the show today, we've got exciting news coming all the way from Nigeria as well as Africa, where people are making things happen as far as sport business is concerned. Also, on the dugout segment, we'll be talking about snooker and pool. Yeah, something happening in Nigeria as far as snooker and pool is concerned. These are some of the things we'll be breaking down on the show today. I'll go on a short break, and when I come back, it will be time for me to take you on the exciting news, serving you hot and fresh.
Fantastically finished.
Welcome back. All right. Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Mr. Sunday Dare, says Nigeria can revamp the sport industry with a private-public partnership that is well laid out. Dare tells journalists that his ministry is working with all the stakeholders to develop sports in the country by designing an effective sport industry policy.
The infrastructure deficit that we have across the country, we're able to demonstrate that this country really had a clear blueprint for sports development across the country. But we needed to, so we have clear support. We've made some good progress on the PPP model for sports infrastructural development. We're able to showcase how we're bringing private money to help with the National Stadium Abuja, the stadium in Surulere, the township stadium across the state. And we hope that eventually this public-private partnership will help to bring about the desired sports development that this country needs.
Meanwhile, the minister has received the comprehensive report of the Ministerial Task Force on the National Stadium Surulere. According to him, the ministry will move quickly with its implementation in a just, fair but firm manner in line with the blueprint and the law. Nigeria's Premier League side, Rangers FC of Enugu, has presented a check of 20 million naira from the club insurance policy to the family of their deceased player, Ifeanyi George. George and teammate Emmanuel Ogbu died in a car accident on March 22nd along the Benin-Agbo Expressway in Delta State, while on their way to Lagos after the domestic league was suspended due to COVID-19.
I want to use this opportunity to say thank you to Rangers International. Thank you to the General Manager. Thank you to the Governor. Thank you to the insurance company. Thank you to the representative of NFF. Thank you for his co-players and everybody around. We, the family, George Ifeanyi, because we do appreciate this. I know this has never happened before in Nigerian football, but Ifeanyi has sacrificed himself for this, because I definitely know this is going to be a stepping stone for other clubs to take a step. So therefore, I use this opportunity to say thank you. But I wish my brother was alive today. But there's nothing I can do. God knows the best. But thank you. Thank you.
The jersey number 15 for Ifeanyi George. Ifeanyi lives with us. Ifeanyi will forever be with us. We retire this jersey, not to send the number into extinction. We retire this jersey because Ifeanyi has the strength and resilience of a Ranger. We retire this jersey because Ifeanyi needs to rest. We retire this jersey because Ifeanyi broke a lot of genes, one of which was the victory at the center of Cairo against Pyramids. that long goal that still reverberates in our minds. We retire this jersey to celebrate a soul that is so pure. Note that he lives with us, and that is why we don't use words. He lives with us, everyone. Ifeanyi lives with us. We retire this jersey in honor of the foundation of Rangers. We retire this jersey, and we say that in retiring this jersey, this incident will never befall us again.
Nigeria's female entrepreneur, Nneka Ede, has become the first African woman to own a European football club after she pulled off a deal last June, enabling her to own the 108-year-old Lusitano Ginásio club that is participating in Campeonato de Portugal. That's the Portuguese third division. Ede has become the second Nigerian to own a Portuguese club after the Nigerian businessman Kunle Shoname purchased Club Desportivo Ourense back in 2015. When the lucrative 2020-2021 edition of the UEFA Champions League starts, a Nigerian will be making a historical appearance, not as a player, but in the dugout as a manager. Ndubuisi Egbo guided Albania's KF Tirana to top-flight triumph in their centenary year as the first African coach to lead a European team to a league title and qualification for the UEFA Champions League or any European competition for that matter. Ndubuisi Egbo played 12 matches for the Super Eagles from 1999 to 2002. Nigerian betting company BetKing has taken up the sponsorship of the Kenyan Premier League. The sponsorship announced by the president of Kenya Football Federation, Nick Mwandwa, is a leverage for BetKing, which is expanding its business into other African countries. Following the 1.2 billion Kenyan shilling for 5-year deal, the top flight league will now be referred to as the BetKing Premier League. English Premier League champions Liverpool have signed a sponsorship contract with Mauritius Tourism Promotion Authority and Economic Development Board. The partnership is to promote Mauritius as a leading global tourist destination and business hub in Africa. The deal sees Liverpool opening an international academy on the island in July 2019. That's it for the news. As far as Sport Exchange is concerned today, we're going on a short break, and when we come back, it will be time for me to engage my guest on the dugout segment. And what are we looking at today? It is the sport of pool and snooker. Don't go away. Sport Business returns shortly.
Fantastically finished.
All right, welcome back. It's still Sport Exchange, and I'm your host, Judy Olan. Don't forget, you can join the conversation on our social media platforms on Twitter at Sport Exchange 24, as well as on Facebook, Sport Exchange 24. Of course, you can see it on the screen. Let's keep the conversation going, and let's make it exciting as well. Today, we're looking at snooker and pool. Yeah, it is one of the oldest sports in Nigeria, and what we want to know what actually is happening. And joining me to look at this is no other than the president of the Snooker and Pool Player Alliance of Nigeria. That is the president of the Snooker and Pool Player Alliance of Nigeria. Joachim Idada joins me on Skype today as we look at this particular issue. Joachim Idada, thanks for joining me on Sport Exchange today.
Kipo, Gideola, it's nice joining you as usual when it comes to sports and when it comes to sports that you play in bars, snooker, pool, and the rest. It's my pleasure always to be with you.
All right. Joe, let's talk about what is happening to snooker and pool in Nigeria.
Generally, snooker and pool, they are still being played as street sports or as street games. Let me not use the word sports to describe them. They are games. They are street games because you have them available in most of the bars and a couple of the clubs. You have pool and snooker. So they are just games. Right now, efforts are being made at transiting from these activities just being games into major sports. And that is why the Snooker and Pool Players Alliance was set up to do the transition or to interface with the games and to transform some of these games into sports. And so the Alliance is actually a network of pool players, snooker and pool players, whose interest is to play these games more like sports with a view to connecting Nigeria to the very lucrative international snooker and pool sector or international snooker and pool circuits.
Yeah. Let me also ask you. You're trying to make a clear distinction between pool and snooker as a game and sport. Why is there any difference in being a sport or a game?
Yeah, there's difference. A lot of difference. So much difference in games and sports. Example, one thing you get in sports is that the activity or the event offers the opportunity for you to have spectatorships. That is what you have in a sport. You can have spectators watch a sport. But when you have a game is for two individuals just recreating themselves. So you cannot classify a leisure activity or a leisure activity as a sport, right? So actually a game transits into a sport. First, I enjoy the game. Then when I enjoy the game, at a point, I can transit from the game to a sport. And when it comes to a sport, there are certain global best practices or governing rules, global governing rules when it comes to sports. In a game, people can come together and set any rule as you like, just for the fun of it, just to create some fun amongst those at a particular place. But when it's a sport, there are governing bodies all over the world. Like in pool, you have the WPA, that's the World Pool and Billiards Association. In snooker, you have the World Snooker Association. So something like World Snooker Federation. So you can, for sports, there are global bodies that govern the sports. But for games, you can just, the two people that are playing can set their rules as they like. So that is actually one key difference. But one thing that for someone like me, we are more interested in the sport than in the game. But actually the game transits into the sport. Without you having the game, you don't get the sport.
All right.
So now we are investing both in the game and investing more in the sport.
Oh, good. Fantastic. All right. You are the president of the Snooker and Pool Players Alliance. And what exactly is this body doing to make sure that there is a merger or maybe transiting from game to sports? What is the role you are playing with this alliance?
Okay, now the first thing the alliance is trying to do is for you to have a sport, best practice, global best practice, you must have a ranking system. That means the participants or the players in that particular game or in that particular sport, if we just use it in a generic form, we must have a ranking system. So you must have a number 1 player, number 2 player, number 3 player, number 4. It goes on like that. So that's what the Snooker and Pool Players Alliance has done. We have created a ranking system for snooker and for pool. So in Nigeria now we have number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Same for snooker. So if somebody from a country like England, where these sports are very, very popular, or from the US, or even from Europe, even from South Africa, comes from there and say we are number one in this country in this particular sport, we can come out authoritatively and say this individual is also the number one in Nigeria because there is a ranking system. If we compare what the Alliance is doing in Nigeria, it's similar to what the American Pool Players Alliance is doing in the United States, as in the US. So the other thing we are doing, we are trying to classify players in Nigeria. So if you start playing the game, if you start getting involved in the game today, if you are a leisure player, as your ranking or your point begins to increase, you get to a point where we begin to what we call classification. Your classification starts. So we have class 1 to class 7. But once you get into class 5, you are going more into the professional space. So players in class 5 or class 6, proper 6, 7, and 8, they are more like semi-professional players. Then after 8, you're a professional player, straight professional player. And at that point, we believe that you are good enough to go outside to play. Another thing we are trying to do, we are trying to organize events according to international best practice. Events, that means events that align with all the governing rules in the various global sports that is recognized by the global governing body. So the Alliance has 2 major events that go on a monthly basis. Just because of the COVID, we could not hold it in the last 3 months. We have what we call the interbar pool tournaments, where the bars, players in the various bars, that's the highest ranked players in the various bars that have pool or snooker, will come together on a monthly basis and play what we call the interbar. Then we also have what we call the top 4. The top 4 tournament is for the top 4 highest players in Nigeria, highest ranked players in Nigeria. The top 4 come periodically for this event, and they participate. The key about this is that we are priming them to begin to be acquainted with global pool event regulations, pool and snooker regulations, especially when it pertains to events of that nature.
All right. Okay. Once again, thank you very much for talking to us. And let's talk about the players, on the part of the players. For you to have an alliance, that means that there should be an acceptance from the players, because they should be the focus. How are they accepting what the alliance is doing with the should I say ranking system, for example? Then how do you rank them? And Nigeria is big, so how do you make sure that all these things work?
Okay, first of all, let us clarify that the alliance is only for those who want to play these games as sport. That's the first thing. So even though pool is a popular sport, it's a popular game in Nigeria, even though pool is a popular game in Nigeria, and snooker is more elitist than pool. So you have pool almost everywhere. Now you have what I call 2 classes of players, where what I classify more as street players, or I don't want to use a derogatory word for them, because sometimes if I use the word, people say, oh, it is derogatory. But I rather call them they're just street players, wild cards. They just play on the streets. They play, as far as I'm concerned, we classify them, they're just playing a game. They're just going around catching their fun. That's one group. But we have another group who want to play this game for sport. As a result of the work we are doing in the SPA, I can tell you confidently that the International Chinese 8-Ball Pool invited Nigeria to participate in the World Chinese 8-Ball Pool World Cup that was supposed to hold in Durban, South Africa, because of the ranking system. So we have players that are more interested in these activities or in these in these in these activities as sports, or in these games as sports. And we have very good players who are really making an effort to really master their skills and sharpen their skills. Right now, we are Dan Ebulue is the highest ranked Nigerian player. From the ranking system, right now he's ranking points. So now this is how the ranking system works. For every game you play, you get points. It depends on who you are playing against. You either get points added to your points or you lose points. So on a regular basis, when you visit any SPA affiliated bar, any activity, any game you play there offers you an opportunity to earn your points. The ranking starts at 1,000 points. So if someone like you, GD Olaniyan, even I know you don't play pool, if you come and register and you say you want to be a pool player, so if you go below 1,000, we believe we still classify you as a leisure player or a novice. Till you get to 2,000 points, we classify you as a leisure player. So most of the Nigerian players right now, from their skill proficiency test or from the ranking points, we classify all of them as leisure players. Because right now, Dan Ebulue, no matter how good he is, he's still just 1,200 and I think 253. He's playing so hard. He's training. He goes up to, sometimes he got up to 1,800. The opposition he faced were so tough, they brought him down. Everybody, so this battle, you are losing points, you are gaining points. After 2,000, you get into the amateur level. After the amateur level, you grow on and grow on. So you get to about 3,000, I think 4,000 points. When you get to 4,000 points, you get into the masters. And after that, you get into the professional level. So it's very, very, very competitive. Very, very competitive. The players, every time you tell them that this game, we are going to rank it, it becomes a different kettle of fish. They play, I call it, they play with their blood. They don't joke. It's really competitive. So that is how. So the players get points and lose points as they climb the ladder.
All right. Okay.
Or as they climb the ranking.
Okay. Okay. I know that the snooker, pool, they are big business sports in terms of money spinning sports. Yeah. But in Nigeria, I don't think it's so. How do we attract? It's one of the most popular sports in the country because, like you said, you see a whole lot of people play it on the streets, in the bars and all that. How do we make sure that it becomes so big like what we have in the US, for example, in China, and maybe in Europe where they are making big money, that we can also, of course, be proud of some of our players who are doing very well? In 1 minute.
The first issue is for any game to transit effectively into a sport, then it transits to a professional sport. We need media. There should be what I call media focus. So right now, effort is being made to be able to get the events recorded and put on television. Even though the media carry some of these events as news, but that is not good enough. They need to be packaged more as content. Like you have everybody today, football is so popular. Why? Because people see it on television. It has become part of the entertainment culture, especially in Nigeria. So that is one of the vision of the SPA, to record these events and put them on television so that people can see. Now, for sponsors to come into any sport, something that is very critical is what we call the eyeball. What mileage will the sponsor get? And that is why we need the media. I'll go back to the media, because once we can put this sport on television, people can see it, people can watch it, then the sponsor will now know that there are people, there's viewership. So once you get viewership watching the sport, it's just like what you have now with the lockdown, where football, you don't see spectators in the stadium. matches where you don't have spectators, and now matches we are still watching the same matches, we see there is there's difference. So another thing is spectatorship. How do we are making effort to make sure we get spectators, people to come to the venue where we play our 8-ball, where we play our events in Nigeria. Even though globally, some of these sports are shown on television globally, we do not want to focus on some of these international events. We want to grow our own local content. We want to invest more in growing local content than in showing just international content. We can use international content as news, but if we want to create content, we have to use our local content. And that is the vision behind some of these tournaments like the Top 4. We have it recorded, we have it packaged as TV friendly, and we have it distributed for those who want to watch it. And once you have that on television, once the media can create a window for some other sports other than football, and one of the sports they can invest in or they can provide airtime for is pool and snooker.
All right.
And with that, let me just land with that. You just find a situation where sponsors will not be interested.
Okay. Thank you very much, Joe. I know that you're passionate about this. We can keep going on, and we should have you some other day so that we can look more at this sport extensively. Thank you very much for joining me, Joe.
Jide, as usual, I'm always very, very excited talking to you, especially because of sports.
All right. That's it for today on the show. The Sport Exchange. Thank you very much for tuning in to join me on this show. Let's do this again next week. Until then, enjoy your weekend.